All right. What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 89 of the Five Aside podcast. And today we're doing a little bit differently. It's just me from the crew, but we are joined by a very, very special guest today. So Gabriel here, but I am joined by
Sarah Ferraria.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for pulling up. This is a long time coming.
Yes.
We've been connected digitally since like 2022?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
You know what I mean? It's been a minute. You're here covering the Club World Cup.
Yes.
You've been all over the country. You've been at some incredible games. I saw you interviewing Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
Did you interview Messi too?
No, I said hi.
But you got to say hi to Messi.
Hi to me, so
you know what I mean? That counts. That's dreams come true. So, I mean, what's it been like for you?
It's been crazy. So I've never been to most of the cities that I've been to in the U.S. Okay, first time in New York, your city.
She's Canadian, by the way, also.
Yes, from Toronto, but live in Madrid. And so, yeah, never been to New York, Atlanta, Charlotte, Philly, Orlando. So the only place I've been was Miami.
Oh, wow.
So I went.
So you're new to America?
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't even know that. Okay,
yeah.
that changes everything.
New York and Toronto is so close, but
That's a fact.
It's just, I don't know why. I just never made it over here. But no, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot because I don't think people realize how big the states are. And I'm just doing the East Coast games. Other people were on the West Coast. There's no way we could with our team because it's just me and my camera girl. There's two of us. And
really? Wow.
We have been, group stage was nuts. We were traveling every 48 hours.
Wow. Yeah, because there's just so many games going on at once. Versus now, at least you have the cool down with the knockout. You can spend a couple of days in the city.
Exactly.
Damn. So what was the schedule for the group stage for you in terms of what does a day in the life look like? And then how do you turn around to get to the next city and everything?
So basically, if we have match day, basically connect with Madrid every morning, regardless if there's a game or no game. So 9 a.m. we have a connection with Madrid.
The city or the team?
Like my team in
Your team
city.
in Madrid, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
no, not
yeah.
the yeah. My studio in Madrid because they're still doing shows there.
Right.
Do a live connection, get ready for the game, and we usually leave it around 11 or 12 if the match is at 3 or 4. Because we got to get there with 4 hours of time, which is also nuts.
That is
it's
crazy.
a whole day thing.
Super early.
Yeah, because we got to just get to the stadium. If it's a new stadium, some of them are so confused. MetLife.
Yeah, I know. No. That was my first time in MetLife, actually.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So bad.
Yeah.
But, so getting to know the stadium,
right?
Finding out where our pitch connection is because we have pitch side access before the game when the players are warming up. Then we do our connection with Legos, so we have to find out where we are on the pitch. Then we got to figure out where's the flash interview zone because then I do interviews with players after. So it's just getting acquainted and all that. It takes time.
Wow.
And so pretty much match day. It's full day, and then after interviews with the players, by that point, it's almost 7. We got to get back, flip the content to our team working in Madrid. They're still up, so they can get it out on social media.
Yeah.
And then usually the next morning, we leave around anywhere from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and we fly to another city. Wow. And those are technically our chiller days because we don't have a game in the afternoon, but it's still flying to another city.
Yep.
Getting your stuff, checking into hotels.
TSA, the lines,
it's
the
and
boarding.
We have bags. We have 3 check bags because we're bringing equipment with us everywhere.
See, I didn't even think about all this.
Yeah,
it's not just vibes travel.
No,
wow.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So those would be our chiller days where we'd maybe be okay, let's go out and eat somewhere, trying to feel out a city as much as we can.
Yeah.
But it's honestly been a world tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
So. That's incredible. First off, congrats on being able to, have this opportunity.
Thank
You're doing an amazing job, honestly. So no, big congrats to you. But I was going to ask, have you been able to enjoy the cities? Do you feel like you're getting a good taste of America? Or do you feel like it's purely the Club World Cup? What's that balance been like?
I definitely feel like New York and Miami, we got a good feel, which are probably the 2 best cities anyways that I've went to.
Cool.
Because New York, we are here for a total of 10 days because we were here for Madrid and Dortmund. And so that was a quarterfinal game.
Yep.
And then obviously the semifinals and the finals are all here.
Exactly.
So we have some time.
That's fire.
And then Miami as well. There were just a round of 16 and quarterfinal games that we both wanted to, they wanted to send us to both those games. So I think we had 2 days in between where we didn't have any games. So we got to see a bit of Miami. But honestly, couldn't really tell you much about Atlanta.
Yeah.
Philly, we went downtown for a couple hours, but you're just walking the streets. We didn't really get to go eat at any 6 spots or go out or just, I don't know, do the touristy things. So I'm definitely getting a feel of America just because I've been here for so long. But not necessarily each city, if that makes sense.
Okay, no, absolutely. And what are some differences you're noticing between Canada and the U.S.? Because obviously we're neighbors, very similar countries compared to I mean, it's the closest country we have in terms of vibes, I would say.
Yeah.
But is there any stark differences that you're like, what the hell is going on in the U.S.?
Yeah, there's like signs in the South that say no guns.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, like, and my co-host is from Spain. So she's like on the same page. And she's like, why is there a sign saying like no firearms allowed inside? I'm like, because people are packing. Like,
yeah, in the North too.
Yeah,
like in New York City, this place like no weapons allowed. Like, why would you bring a gun into here?
Yeah. So that's like the biggest difference. Because even though like I'd say Toronto, there's definitely some like gun violence. I think because we're so close to the border. We still don't allow like people to just like carry firearms, even if they're whatever trained or whatever it is. But like that is so major to me, and like I said, for her, like she's from Europe, like they're even further from that. Yeah. So I'd say like that's honestly the biggest difference, because I'm like, what do you mean?
That's so funny.
But sorry, I was gonna say like New York though gives me such Toronto vibes. Like you guys are just like similar to us, but like way bigger, obviously. And because it's bigger, like it's even more packed with, I'd say, like culture, because it's just more people. But like even walking around, even hearing the way you guys talk, I'm like,
that's so funny.
We're home.
I feel that too. I've been to Toronto actually twice. I spent a full week there because I went to school at the University of Rochester. So that's like way upstate New York. I think the bus to Toronto is like 2 hours. So super, super close. So a cheap spring break for us would be Toronto instead of flying to Miami or something far like that. So I spent 2 full weeks in Toronto, and I absolutely loved it. And I definitely feel like very comparable to here, and also very comparable to London as well. I feel like all 3 of those cities are definitely like cousins or brothers.
I would say so too. I think it's just like, obviously maybe it's like geographical distance between Toronto and New York, but it definitely feels like in certain areas, like in FIDI where I'm staying, it's super similar to our like financial district as well. Like if I look around, I'm like, I can't tell where I am. But then obviously like, slang and stuff I hear like getting thrown around, and I'm like, oh, I'm back home.
No, 100%. That's dope. Just to take it all the way back though, so you got to tell us how you first got into football, and how did you first fall into that passion, and what's it been like being able to pursue it as a full-time career?
I mean, like football's been a part of my life since I was like a child. I feel like when you have like immigrant parents, it's like that is a sport, because it's like the most global sport. So my dad's Persian, and like he grew up watching, like Johan Cruyff at Barcelona, which is
classic.
I am a Barca fan, guys. I know, I'm gonna hear from you.
Listen, how many UCLs?
I know.
9, but now we're at 15. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's my favorite thing to do with that jersey.
Listen, who won the league this year?
It's fair. Listen, I'm also Spanish though, so I can't hate too much.
Because
so when I see Lamine, it's like, are we gonna win the World Cup? But right now I hate you, but I love you. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Same with Xavi and Nesta, all those guys.
That Euro squad.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't hate Barca the way other people do, because at least the Spanish talent.
You're a bit tied. You're a bit tied.
For sure.
But like I feel like immigrant families are mostly watching football. So like that's what was in my house. And my dad put me in football when I was like super young too. So I grew up playing it.
Oh, awesome.
And then, we were always watching it. It was always on in the house, So I feel like it was just like part of like my childhood, and we just kept it going. And then when I went to school for journalism, I always knew like I was like, I want to more like focused on sports. And initially it was like, okay, I'm in Canada, so I had to focus, a little bit on like basketball, which like the Raptors had just won their championship. So it was like a good time for that. But like, I hate hockey, I'll be honest. Like
that's y'all shit for real though.
No, but it's really not mine. Like I think it's the sport I dislike the most. Like I
really,
football, tennis, and F1 are my top 3.
Okay,
but I can I can appreciate basketball, especially like when we won. Like the city was insane.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean, like, baseball's really hard to watch. Like,
you don't have to tell me. I'm aware. Yeah, we go to Yankee Stadium for the vibes.
That's
not for
the
thing.
Game. Same thing with Skydome. Like, we go or Rogers Center, I guess. Like, you go literally just to like have drinks, sit in the nosebleeds, have a hot dog, like socialize basically. But hockey was tough. But like, all right, I knew football wasn't massive in Canada, and like, there's a ceiling to it. But I was like, okay, let's do all sports. But every time I had the choice, whether I was like writing about like a specific sport or doing whatever, an interview, I would always try and do football. And so I kept, and then eventually I just would only do football. And I guess especially with like the World Cup a couple years ago, Canada made it for like the second time.
Ever, right? The first time was like 1930s. Something crazy.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah, okay,
it was like a long time ago. And again, eliminated in group stage, like same thing.
0 points.
But like, obviously like Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, like those guys are like making moves for us, which is good. But I felt the ceiling. So when I got out, I got a job in like kind of broadcasting. It was like a startup company, and they were letting me cover football. But like even after the first year, I like immediately felt like I've already hit the ceiling.
Okay, gotcha.
And my goal was always to move to Europe because family in Barcelona. So I was like lucky enough and privileged enough to go there in the summers and visit and like holiday there.
So you like grew up going to Spain?
Yeah. Since I was like 7. Yeah. So also that's another reason why like I love the team, because I grew up like going.
That's a legit connection. For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I got a job in Madrid, and like thank God, because like I'm so immersed in it now, and I can see like there's such a difference between football in North America and football in Europe.
Not even.
And like people keep asking me like, they're like, but do you see it growing in Canada? I'm like, honestly, like not the way that it should be.
Okay.
I feel like here, you guys have like honed in on it a bit, but you're also putting way more money into it.
Yeah.
Like the women's team is fire. Men's team is growing. I mean, you guys also have like a lot of guys abroad.
Yeah. For sure.
Obviously, we're both hosting it next year, the World Cup, but like the way you guys have got way more success, and I feel like also superstars too. Like people know your players a little bit more as well, which helps. Yeah.
That's fair.
So anyways, long story. Just that's kind of how I got into it.
I got you. That's dope. And going to the growth of Canadian soccer, what do you think is like missing in the scene over there? Because for me, I feel like even from a media standpoint, it really is growing in the US. You can feel the increase in the activations, the brand money behind it, like just the energy of the country is super excited. But what is it like north of the border? Do you feel like Canada's gearing up? Does it feel like the momentum's not there? Even separate from just the players, but it's like the feeling in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better than it was before, but like it's definitely not the same as here. And it's weird because coming from Toronto, it's such a multicultural city, like New York. So it's like you have a massive like, Italian community, Portuguese, and like communities that are deeply involved in football and grew up watching football. So you're like, why are we not leaning into it more? But I think from the media perspective is because the coverage is really bad. So like Euros and World Cup, TSN will have that.
Yeah.
But like watching, if you want to watch the Prem or La Liga or Serie A, you have to have like, a DAZN account or a Fubo account. Like you have to have like so many different subscriptions.
It's like I got you. Yeah.
So it's also really hard to follow football completely, because if you want to, you have to be subscribed to like 3 or 4 platforms, and obviously not only that's expensive, but that's like annoying.
Segmented. That's where it's very segmented.
Exactly. So like when you're not giving it to the people easily, then of course they're not gonna want to watch it as much. So I think that's another thing, is we're not really like trying to cover it properly from a media perspective.
That's a very good point, because streaming has definitely affected sports fandom, I would say. And it's even gotten to the point where I've heard people in England complain about their accessibility to the Prem, which is something that you thought would never happen, let alone Canadians trying to watch all these different leagues. Not just interesting to hear the different perspective, because as close as Canada is, it is quite a stark difference in that. But I do believe you guys recently started up your own professional women's league, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good to see. I don't know if you have any information on that or what you've seen from that pop out. But
the thing is, like growing up, women's football was always big because our women's team was always sick. Like Christine Sinclair was like someone I looked up to. Like her and Marta were the top dogs.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think women's football was always really good. So we held it to a certain standard. And it's funny that it took this long to get a women's league, but I think it's great. Like it's a step in the right direction regardless of how long it took. But I do think there's almost more respect for the women's team, because the players have actually like, they're gold medalists. They go far in World Cups. Like,
they're really good squad.
It's, I think with the men, like even though there are like some, big footballers there, they haven't done anything. And I know it sounds bad, like not even win, but just like, I guess the biggest is the Copa America last year. We saw them go to
semis.
Yeah, which was like a shock. No one really expected that. But I think because like we're not seeing them go the distance, maybe people aren't giving them, I don't know if it's like the respect or the attention. But
yeah. Because I think they didn't win a Nations League.
Nope.
Because US won 3, then Mexico won.
Yep.
They didn't win Gold Cup. The last 2 was Mexico, USA before that in like 21 or something.
Yep.
So the silverware is not there. And I think they had a big opportunity to at least get one of those Nations Leagues. And the fact that the US got 3 in a row, and then Mexico won after US lost to Panama, that was another opportunity. I feel like winning one of those could have meant something. But other than that, it's just been, I think the individual talent is growing. Davies is crazy. Jonathan Davis is really good. Tajon Buchanan. But to put that team together and get to the next level, I think it needs to be a bit more tangible result. for the team. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll have to see what happens with you.
Yeah,
for sure. One other thing I wanted to mention was living in Madrid, going all the way back to over there. So what has that been like for you?
It's honestly been, it's been so sick. I can't even lie. Like, it's such a livable city. I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's really small compared to Toronto. So I mean, like, for you as a New Yorker, like, you've been obviously, but like,
just live there too.
The core, is like, it's walkable.
Yeah.
Like, if it's nice out, you could literally walk most places. The metro is great. The food is great.
Incredible.
The cost of living is a joke. And coming from North America especially, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I mean, weather, fire, football. Like, it's crazy to be in a country that is so switched on to football. And like, I've always been like that. So I feel like I'm with people that understand that.
Yeah.
And just also like being so close to other like European countries, like you can just pop over to like Portugal or France for next to nothing. And like I love that aspect because I feel like if you like to travel and learn about other cultures and stuff too, super easy. So it was a really seamless transition actually. Like I got there and I was like, no, I'm home.
Really? Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. What was it like moving to Europe full time, living there? Because I remember going there to study abroad. Well, I guess you grew up going there, so that's its own vibe and its own experience. But when I studied abroad in Madrid, that was my first time in Europe, besides when I was like 3 or 4. Okay. So pretty much my first time in Europe. Yeah. And it definitely took a little bit of adjusting to. I was still improving my Spanish at that point as well. But once I settled in after a week or two, I absolutely loved it, especially as a childhood Real Madrid fan. You know, getting my first opportunities to go to the Bernabeu. I even saw Ronaldo when he had his 5 Ballon d'Ors and he put like the 5 up.
Yeah.
Crazy game.
Iconic.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Won the game 5-0 too, which was very poetic.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of when Madrid plays in Madrid is just unreal. That type of energy in the city. So it was very cool for me, but I definitely took a little bit of adjusting too. But it's cool to see you walked in, you're like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, but I think you're right though, because you had such a like long time in between like when you went back. But for me, I was there at one point almost every year.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like I knew the culture so well. I spoke a decent enough Spanish that like I can get by and I wouldn't struggle, but also like, well, in Barcelona, everyone speaks English. Madrid, I'd say like it's like 70%. Like you will struggle sometimes if you don't speak any Spanish. But I can get by. It's fine. But like I was so aware of the culture. And I was also so over Canada. I think that was the other thing. Like I've been ready to go for years that I think it was like, that's also why it felt so seamless for me to just be like, oh yeah, I'm here now and I don't miss that.
Wow. Okay. And did you only spend time in Toronto specifically? Or was there other parts of Canada you had also been in?
Well, I was born in Montreal, but I grew up in Toronto, but I went back to Montreal like a lot because I had family there. Okay. So I know Montreal like decently well, but I never like lived there as like a adult.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. Montreal's a dope city. I've been there too as well.
It's nice.
I spent a full week. So that was really cool.
It's a good place to visit.
To live, I don't know.
But to live, I find it super small as well. And if you're a New Yorker, like as a Torontonian, I feel like I'd get bored of Montreal because it also doesn't change. It's just like vibes, good food, but like there's not much happen. I don't know. So.
Got you. Speaking of that, actually, somebody who is a big fan of Montreal but doesn't like Toronto told me that they feel like Montreal has a lot more of a city personality and is a much more beautiful city than Toronto, which is very dull and is like any other city in terms of how it looks, and there's nothing that unique about it. I disagree as someone who went to Toronto and really liked it, but I'm actually just curious to hear your perspective as somebody who's been to both extensively, obviously.
Yeah.
I grew up in one and been to the other one extensively,
It's funny because I don't even really like Toronto, but I'm like, I think I'm like kind of an anomaly because a lot of people that are from Toronto really rate the city.
Yeah. But I hear from people that live there.
Yeah, and the way they back, like, I mean, Drake and Sid, and we're like, that's our guy. And like, I have never been that person. Okay. But I will say, compared to Montreal, I think Toronto has a lot more going on. Like, it's a faster paced city, which means there's more opportunities and you can grow. I get what they're saying though about Montreal having more of a personality because it is a little bit more like Euro vibes. Yeah. But if you're trying to like hustle and grind and like, you know, pursue a career, I feel like Montreal wouldn't be the place Toronto would be. But then, Toronto, in my opinion, also isn't like the prettiest city either. Like, but then you go to somewhere like Europe and you're like, honestly, none of these places even matter because like, Europe's like their architecture is crazy. So I think both could be right at the same time.
That's a very political answer. I like it.
Listen.
And then what's the work culture been like for you in Madrid?
I know.
Separate from like the lifestyle energy.
Yeah. Spanish people have a bad rep for working.
I have a lot of stories and I've never even worked there full time.
Listen, I will say I feel that in a sense. Like, if you want anything bureaucratic done,
no,
God bless.
God bless.
Literally but that's the thing. I went into it because of going so much. I knew that already. Like, you're going to be waiting. But I think if you know that, it's like less stress on you. Because if you're like coming from North America and you're used to like this, you are going to drive yourself crazy because you're going to be like, why isn't my Amazon package here? And I'm like, it will get here when it gets here. Like, that's the mentality you need to have.
Yeah.
That being said, my job, we work so hard. I will say there definitely are industries and like companies and groups of people that do work really hard. And I think we are one of them. And we're definitely a little international, but we have a lot of obviously Spanish natives in my company at Sporty. And like, we are grinding all the time because working in football, like, it never ends.
No, it's ridiculous. We got to talk about the schedule because it never ends. And it's even worse for you working in a corporate environment where you can't just like schedule when you want to talk about it. Because when you think about it, the season starts mid-August.
Yep.
And we are in the early to mid parts of July. And the Club World Cup is still going on, which is an additional competition. The summer series in North America starts in like a week or two. And then it's training camp and the season starts again. Not to mention with the women's game and other things like that. NWSL's already going on right now. Women's Euro's going on right now. Shout out the Spanish women going crazy.
Alexia Putellas, 2 goals today. What's up?
Balling out. 11 goals in the first 2 matches.
I love them.
They're unreal.
Yep.
The schedule never ends.
Yeah. So
so how do you do it?
No. I think I've made a mistake because like this is so I hit my 1-year mark last month and I was like, oh my God, like that was a crazy year. And then I was like, okay, going to the Club World Cup. We go back next Monday. We fly back. They're giving us 2 days off. And then we go into the Women's Euros. Like, we cover the last 2 weeks of that.
Yeah.
And then we do have like 2 weeks of holiday or like 2.5 weeks. But then, like you said, season starts.
Yeah.
AFCON is during the Christmas holiday this year.
Yes, AFCON too.
And it's in Morocco, and obviously Sporty, like we broadcast to Africa. So we are 100% covering it. 100%. And I'm hoping to actually go because
we are too, actually. We're working on going. 100%.
Stop. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Meet up in Morocco.
That's a fact. I've been to Morocco too. Marrakesh.
I haven't been, but it's so close to Spain. Like,
super quick flight.
It's on my list, but it would be so cool for AFCON. But yeah, so AFCON is during like the break that normally like La Liga or Bundesliga or Serie A would have. And then the World Cup is next year. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're just not having a break.
No.
It's actually, and like the thing is like you and I, like we work in the industry.
Yeah.
But these players, like genuinely, I feel like I can't even complain because I'm not playing the football. But like, it's honestly, it's way too much. And like, I know it's better for, let's say, like our careers, but I'm at the point now where I'm just like, this is crazy. And I feel like football it's changed. Like, it's
tell me what you think about that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think someone was talking about this and I can't remember, but they were saying like the 2014 World Cup was like the last kind of authentic World Cup. And since then they've been so, just about the money.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective.
And I mean, okay, obviously Qatar.
Yeah, Russia even.
Russia, so that was 2018. And then US.
Super about the money,
right?
Clearly. Yeah.
So, and I feel like the vibes are changing too. Yeah. And so.
That's interesting.
It's funny because it's like I've still gotten into this because no matter what, like I'm gonna love football.
Yeah.
But there's just a different feeling about it. And it is a bit scary because you look at these players and a bunch of them have obviously come out and said like it's too much. But even the other day you saw Jamal Musiala, like
5 months out.
5 months at least. Honestly, like
least. That was a crazy injury.
Yeah, but I looked at it and I was like, of course we saw a European player got injured because they just played a full season. Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, Champions League. Now they're playing here. And now he's gonna miss the majority, well, at least the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like,
yeah, it's tough.
It's like, this is what's going to keep happening. Like, players are not going to be able to play until they're, like 38, like we're seeing 39, whatever.
Yeah.
And no, it's honestly really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, how do you guys, like, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think it's too much. I think what really was the tipping point for me was Rodri speaking about it after he tore his ACL during his Ballon d'Or winning season. Or he won the season before, early this year. And hearing how he spoke about it, saying like this is simply too much, and the way he stood up for the players, saying we cannot keep going.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if this many players are speaking up about it, and players of that caliber
100%.
are not okay with it, who are winning everything,
and
still saying no, I'm winning everything. I don't want to play this much.
Yeah.
I think that it needs to chill out. Honestly.
Yeah, and
it's just too much. And I worry for the young guys like Lamine. 100 games at 17.
No.
There's no way, because Pedri and Gavi had this,
they got injured.
They went through. So,
but that's what I mean. Like, you don't know how long these guys, like someone like Lamine, who's had like 2 seasons so far.
Yeah.
How long is his career gonna last if he's playing this much football for club and country? There's no way. There's no way they're gonna last.
You can't have
long.
a Ronaldo career.
No.
If you play this many games.
Ronaldo, like I'm thinking even like 31, 32 people are gonna start retiring.
Yeah, seriously.
Because he also started like super young.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I really don't know if it's gonna change though, because it's so about the money, and like, really why would they? Not.
Yeah, the TV deals increase, the streams increase. The teams get paid from the Club World Cup.
The players are getting
paid, so that's where the incentive becomes difficult.
Yeah.
The only good thing about the Club World Cup, not the only good thing, but it is every 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So at least this can't be every season, because there's no way you can do. I think Madrid's played a record amount of games in their history. I think it's almost
and like
73 games.
Fede played like 70 of them.
Unreal.
Yeah.
In midfield, up and down the pitch, and right back, just covering the whole.
Physicality's crazy.
Your body can. And I forgot, he's only like 26.
Yeah.
Even as a Real Madrid fan, I didn't realize like he's super young still for how much he's played. So, I don't know. Something's got to change, but I don't know what can change it.
That's the thing.
What is the next step? The players are talking about it, but do they have to boycott something? Like,
well, for me, like, I think naturally would be the Club World Cup, because you said, okay, it's once every 4 years, but that's because we have the Euros and Copa America. We got Summer Olympics, and then we have the World Cup. So it
is the same every year.
So it's every year there's going to be a major competition. Okay, maybe not all teams are going to be in it. For example, Barca aren't. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm so happy Barca aren't here.
No, I understand that.
I'm like, they're on a boat somewhere. They're in Mallorca. They're chilling. And they
Rafinha doing weird dances in Brazil. Go ahead, buddy.
Love it. No, because genuinely, I was like, I don't want my guys injured. Like, nope. And
seriously.
So every summer there's going to be a tournament. And okay, Euros and Copa America, most of the major players are going to play in that. World Cup, obviously. So we have the Club World Cup, and then the Olympics, which maybe, you won't see like as many big players going, but even still.
Yeah, because the Olympics is a Euros year. Right?
So Olympics is the same. Oh, so Olympics, Copa, and Euros are all in the same year. So then that should mean there's one free summer in 4 years.
Theoretically, but then also Gold Cup's like every 2 years. Weirdly. Then there's Nations League now. So
and also AFCON likes to switch, because right now it's coming up in December, but it can be held. I think the one following that is in July.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I actually checked. Okay, so next year we have a World Cup. The following year is AFCON in the summer.
Bro.
Because AFCON's also every 2 years. Just for fun.
Yeah, so they're doing 3 major international tournaments within 16, 18 months?
Yeah, no, it's nuts.
On top of all the club. Yeah, so if you're an African on a top European club, good luck.
No, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's too much, man.
Yeah, so I feel like the Club World Cup would be the one that you would have to sacrifice, because it's not playing for your nation.
Yeah.
It's an extra club competition, but the way they've built this one up, I'm like, okay, clearly you're putting a lot of eggs into this basket. So I don't know, but it's scary.
It is. And then speaking of that, what's crazy is that you said you would choose your nation over your club, but then players, I believe, were contractually required to play for their clubs over their country. So you have Weston McKennie and Tim Way, who actually played on Juventus instead of the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
When we definitely could have used them yesterday in the game against Mexico, because that is not the A squad that was out there. So yeah, it's just a crazy time. And I guess, how do you feel about covering this competition that you have these mixed feelings about? What's that kind of relationship with it been?
I mean, it's been exciting for me in the sense that this is my first big competition where
end to end.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot. But I think it's good in the sense because we've all learned a lot from this tournament, and we got a World Cup next year, and I think that's kind of
test run. It feels like a test run.
Exactly, but I think that's kind of what they wanted to do because, first of all, the pitch is here, and listen,
I know.
I mean, I get
playing on football fields and it's not
this
American football, I should say.
Yeah, but they cannot allow players to play on this. It's wild that they're I'm actually shocked Messi is playing on these because I know when he was playing for Barca and we had US tour, he said he wasn't going to play at a stadium because it had turf. And I was like, as you shouldn't, because it's super dangerous.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I guess playing in MLS, like, you have to change, I guess, your perspective. Yeah. But you have all these guys coming from Europe, South America, and wherever, Africa, Asia. And they're all used to playing on grass. And then this is what you're giving them, like, it's crazy. So that's, like, definitely something that I hope changes, because I think it's also just, like, we're talking about football and how much they're playing. And injuries, that's like another thing that can add to it.
Yeah, then adding the pitches to it. Even the weather, I'm surprised how much of an issue it's been.
It's actually been nuts, because we've been in like the South for like a chunk of it. And like we were at Chelsea Benfica. 5 minutes left.
Okay.
5 minutes left.
Oh, the Lightning, right?
That's and they could have played. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, well, there's a rule in the States where if there's like lightning, like, and I guess like minutes. A certain, yeah. But they kept seeing lightning. So we got delayed for almost 2 hours. And then eventually they finished it, but then Di Maria had the penalty. So we went to like the extra time, and I was like, these crazy. Poor players. Because like I'm thinking about them mentally, like in the locker rooms, trying to like keep themselves like jacked up and like ready to go. And it's like you keep hearing, okay, another 30, another 30. But for me, they could have just played the 5 minutes. Like it wasn't close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not a meteorologist, but like when do you, that's another thing. Like we need to figure out, when do you call off a game? Yeah. This is something FIFA needs to look into, because clearly weather is such a factor here, especially in the South.
Yeah, it is.
That if a game is going to be, suspended for so long, when are you going to like, delay it to the next day or find another time to play?
What's the plan B? Yeah,
that's
because a good point.
They actually said, because I was talking to like some FIFA press officers there, because we were actually in the flash zone waiting for players at that point, because we got to get there a bit early.
Right.
And then they were like, match has been suspended. And I was like, what's happening? But I was like, so what's the plan? They're like, we don't really, like FIFA doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really hope they figure out, because it's definitely a factor.
That's crazy. And it's funny too, because I never thought about US weather impacting games at all. Like I didn't realize how much
New York though.
Yeah, or how little lightning and thunder are in other countries. I never thought about that. Then I'm like, wait, that is an issue.
Yeah, I feel like in the South, especially, you guys get like those tropical storms, and like this, like it's really stormy. And I think it's like obviously the rain is one thing, but like the lightning is obviously the biggest factor.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think you guys can build a bunch of closed stadiums that fast, like Mercedes-Benz. But I also don't really like the closed stadium vibe. Like, it's just, it's weird.
It's not the same. You can't hear the city atmosphere. The echo is different. Like, 100%.
But they do need to do something. Like, if a game goes after, like, if it's suspended for longer than even for me, like an hour, push it.
Yeah.
Because it's just not fair to the players and the fans and the staff and whoever's involved. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Definitely. As we head into now the semifinals of the Club World Cup, any special moments you'd like to highlight from your journey thus far? I don't know if maybe Pep is number one on your list. That's super cool conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it was really sick because I don't know if you guys saw, but I put my mic behind me and before we like started recording, and I like told him in Spanish, I was like, I just want, actually no one knows this.
Yeah. Breaking news.
Like, I didn't, because like my coworkers were like, what did you say? And I was like, I can't tell you. But no, I basically just said like, I appreciate like everything you've done for football. Like you're amazing. And I was like, I told him I'm a culé, and he like was immediately super happy. And I told him like my dad has loved watching you play, and that because my dad's a big Pep fan.
Oh, so he's seen the player and coach.
Wow. Yeah. And so we just like had like a moment, and he was so down to earth and normal.
That's awesome.
And like to the point where right before he came in, he was kind of in the way, and the security was like, hey, sorry, like, do you mind just moving a bit? You're blocking the entry. And a FIFA officer was like, this is the coach of Man City. And then Pep was like, he doesn't know who I am. It's fine. And I was like, I love that you're just
celebrities are like that.
Like you're just a normal guy.
For real.
So it was nice because we kind of had like a little chat, and then we did the interview, and I think that allowed him just to open up a bit more. But the way he talks about football, I'm just like,
different.
Like
mad scientist is the vibes I get when you see him on that board going like, what I'm saying?
Like he sees things that it'll take us like
years,
literally years to get. And so
it
was really cool because obviously he coached Barca, got us a treble at one point. He played for the club, so he's done a lot for like me personally, but just amazing. For football. So that was a big one, I would say. But I also loved watching Flamengo beat Chelsea because the Flamengo fans were everything. Like we were in the parking lot getting some footage, but literally like partying with them. Like They were doing barbecues, shooting off fireworks. They had like the Brazilian funk going crazy on their speakers. And I was like, this to me is football, and 100%. It's so South American. Like you don't even see that in Europe either. I will say, like that is proper South American, and I was like, I love this. Like, and then the fact that they beat a team like Chelsea, and so it was really cool. I got to talk to Jorginho after that game. Actually, he was like a super nice guy too. But I just love seeing like the upset, and I think a lot of people are giving more respect to South American football.
Yeah, especially Brazil. They've had a great tournament.
Yeah,
and they play again tomorrow with a chance to go to the final.
Yes, sir.
It's crazy.
Exactly. So I definitely loved watching just that journey for those teams, and watching like fans be like, oh, like, you know, maybe we should pay attention a little bit to this, because like I love watching the Copa Libertadores.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't watch it, which is fine. But I'm like, if you want to scout for young players, if you want the drama, if you want just like crazy football,
a mess.
That's like a lot. It's kind of like AFCON.
Yeah.
Like I find they're very like relatable. So I'm like, watch this, because this is where you will see like these rising stars.
I think what's been super cool about the South American fans too has been, just as you said, what those flamenco fans were doing outside the stadium is bringing people who live in the States, in those cities, who don't know about footies, be like, oh, this shit is crazy. So, for instance, our guy Sebastian has been to either 2 or 3 Palmeiras games, and they were just losing their minds. But he was talking to like some locals who don't know much about soccer, being like, even our local teams aren't like this. So even the Philadelphia Eagles, some of the craziest North American sports fans, still not the same as the Brazilian football fans. So it's just such a beautiful demonstration of all these different cultures. And I just can't imagine what it's going to be for the World Cup. What is it when it's the Seleção playing? You know what I mean?
I can't
like it's going to happen. I just cannot wait to see it, obviously, here, Canada and Mexico. So hopefully for our countries, Mexico's already super passionate. But hopefully for our countries, they can see that, and it's a legit launching pad, and not just a moment. Because that's the biggest thing for me. I want it to launch us into that next generation of great American Canadian footy, rather than just like, oh, 2026 was cool. You know what I mean? I want it to a whole higher notch that we never fall below. And I think for the US it will hit.
I think for the US as well, because you guys have the most games.
Yeah, we have so many games.
We have in Canada, it's only Toronto and Vancouver, and I think it's 3 games each. And so I'm like, honestly, and it's like, you know how they're changing the format? It's like 48 teams now.
It is expanded,
They're talking about 3 teams in a group now.
Oh, it's 3 teams in a group.
It's not confirmed, but they're suggesting that it might be like, So anyways, a lot of different changes. But my thought is like, okay, 48 teams. Who's going to be playing in Canada? Because let's be honest, we are getting the worst games. There's no Mexico, mad footy culture, and you guys are hosting most of them. So you'll get like obviously the finals and everything. But I'm thinking like we're going to have Bolivia and Kenya playing. And that's not going to be like, with respect to those countries. I need Canada, big teams out in Canada, like you're saying, to see, like, give me Italy, Brazil, England. Like, I want Argentina, all the big teams, or at least one to play there, so they can see, oh, this is what we need to be. We got a long road ahead, but at least we've seen it, you know?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So it's funny. Does that mean you want Canada to face one of the top teams in the world, even if it hurts your chances of getting out the group? Would you take it?
This is no
like if
secret.
It's Argentina, would you take it?
I don't support the Canadian men's national team.
Oh, really?
I grew up watching Spain.
Okay.
Like the women.
Listen, you know I'm with that. You have to stop it. I'm with that for sure.
Like listen, like growing up, like and watching Barcelona, and then growing up and watching Spain during that era. I mean, it was literally half Barcelona, half Madrid. But you're telling me I can't support those are my guys.
Yeah,
like.
For sure.
So it was just so normal, especially like I said, going to Spain all the time. Like it was normal because football in Canada also at that point for the men's was shocking.
Yeah,
like
there was no Davies, no David, no Buchanan.
The women we were all about, but like the men, I was like, I don't even know who the players are. So no,
that's fair.
I wouldn't necessarily. Listen, I wanted to grow in Canada, but I've never been like a Canuck. I think that's what we call ourselves. See, I don't even like. I'm the worst Canadian. I'm the worst. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're not putting on for the cities, not the.
I know, but no, I think a big team over there just to see like. I think Italy would be really good because we got mad Italians in Toronto, and like I think they would go crazy. So hopefully it does. I think for you guys it will though, because there's just so much more opportunity. Yeah,
for sure. And I think America is so sports crazed that once we see the level of the World Cup again, the last time was 94. You see it at a better US team. Well, theoretically a better U.S. team. They actually did do well in that World Cup, but just how much more the sport has grown, how much more MLS has grown, how much more NWSL has grown, even to get to the women's side. 2026, and knowing how you go to the Olympics, we have all the golds. We lead the medal count. Americans are greedy in sports. We want to add soccer to be the best at on the men's side. So I think it really will be a launching pad, 100%.
You know what's crazy? Sorry, when you were saying this, it just reminded me. I was in Miami when Florida won the Stanley Cup. The Panthers.
Oh, okay. How was that? Well, you hate hockey, so
I hate
not
hockey,
a very good Canadian.
But what's crazy to me is because I don't know what hockey culture is like here. I mean, I know some like places like Boston and stuff, like they're nuts. But Florida won. I was in Florida, and because Boca was still in the tournament, no, I saw not one hockey fan, and I was like, "This is what I'm talking about." Boca took over Miami. Like, I don't know if you saw like the photos and stuff.
Seb was at Bayern Boca.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You were at the game too?
No, we didn't get to see Boca because we were we were in Miami, and like Boca fans kind of just like congregated there.
Yeah.
And so they were still in the tournament, so they were all there, and Florida won the Stanley Cup. And I was like, the only reason I know this is because of my personal Instagram, and I have friends that are like hockey fans or whatever. And I would not have known this otherwise because there was no showing of it here. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is what people don't realize. Like, football is a different level.
It's just different. You can't compare it. Like, I remember I might have been a River Plate fan or a Boca fan talking about how he sold his PlayStation to get to the game, the little boy. Now they put him in the advertisement, I think, with Adidas. Like, you just can't compare that.
No.
We don't have that here. You know what I mean? But bringing it here, Club World Cup, and then the World Cup next summer again, that is the glimpse for Americans. Like, oh, this is what we need to be like. So.
But they haven't, like, I don't know how have you guys like received the World Cup, Club World Cup? Because I've been to a bunch of Real games, and Real always sells out.
Of course.
And I've seen Boca, I've seen Flamengo did really well. But for example, I was at Chelsea and LAFC, Chelsea's first match. Dead. Like it was so bad. Benfica Chelsea was also really bad. Bayern Benfica was really bad. Like, and so like these are big teams.
It is.
And we know what it is, but there's still a lot of like there were a lot of games where they did not sell tickets. And I know there's a lot of Americans that are looking like, what is this? Yeah. So I feel like there's two sides to it. Like, how have you guys received it on that end?
Well, I think one of the problems has been the timing and dates of those games. Because some of these are like 3 p.m. in Los Angeles when everybody's working.
Right.
And the tickets were originally overpriced by far. And they had to keep slashing until it finally became affordable. So the ticket price, the time of day, which I believe was to suit a European audience. So if you play at 3 or 4 p.m., they have their evening game. But we should have the evening prime time, 8 p.m. under the lights. And Europe should have to just deal with the fact that it's going to be late for you. The way that, you know what I mean? Like
do you think that would work though? Like,
I think it would have helped. At least people are off work too.
Because I know, like, that's what people told me too. They were like, it's bad timing. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to think about like not only Europe, but Africa and Asia.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know if they're watching as much. Like, obviously, Europe's like the main.
Has a lot of teams,
Because like the first match was Inter Miami Al Ali. I was there. Madrid studio stayed open for that one. I was doing live connections on the pitch. 9 p.m. knowing it's 3 a.m. They had to stay up for the game and do a post match.
Wow.
And so we had like guys in the studio until like 5:36 a.m. And so like you also like I'm just bringing that perspective in because like it's obviously hard, but for the World Cup, what are they gonna do? Because people are complaining about the weather here. Because obviously rain, but also the heat, like,
and the humidity specifically. Not just dry heat,
Benfica and Bayern Munich, it was 41 degrees in Charlotte. I was on the sidelines melting. I'm thinking these guys can't play like 41. Sorry, Celsius.
It's like 100-ish. I know that's got to be at least 100.
I think it's more
Fahrenheit, probably more. 41 sounds crazy.
No, it was like out of control, and so okay, then you wonder late games would make more sense. But I feel like with the World Cup, people kind of allow that because the World Cup's been everywhere and you're used, it's like 3 a.m. We got to put on the Brazil game.
No, World Cup, you got to go if it's midday. So it doesn't matter.
I think for Club World Cup, they tried to make it more suitable, but I think World Cup, you guys will be able to do it like in the evenings. There needs to be, because like everyone's just used to like the World Cup being all over the place and just dealing with it.
For sure. And there still were night games, like Real Madrid Salzburg was at 9 p.m. I believe. But some of those matches with the worst attendance, you had to look at and also too, they didn't need to use all the giant stadiums. Some teams, it's kind of, I always relate it's kind of like music artists, right? Beyonce can sell out MetLife.
Mhm.
Most artists can't.
Yeah.
So put them in a smaller arena so you can fill it, pack it out, and create that environment. Because 20,000 people in an 80,000 person stadium looks like nothing.
Yeah.
But it's still a ton of people.
Yeah.
So I think too, the stadium sizes when you go to these like American football stadiums, but you can't draw that audience. I think that's too much too. So it's a mix of things. But for World Cup, I have no question. Everything's going to be completely packed, crazy, sold out. I have no worries, honestly.
It's going to be
But Club World Cup, I knew there was going to be some sparseness for sure.
Yeah. I'm worried about like with how many people are going to be coming into the US though as well with weather and like flight delays and stuff because like if like teams can't get somewhere, if fans can't get somewhere, you know, like I am a bit stressed out.
Even the travel ban stuff is crazy.
Well, like, was it not you guys saying on this podcast that they're going to give everyone a 30-day visa and then take it right back?
I think they will, but I don't know how far he'll take it. Like, what
I
if
think
he's
that's
like,
exactly what's going
what if he's like, I still don't care. I'm like, from even your own capitalistic, I want to brag about how much money America made for the World Cup. I thought you would let him in and tell him to leave. But the level of strictness that it's been is like, are they actually going to not let people from certain countries? I think that'd be insane. First off, it's morally wrong. But two, even from a selfish standpoint, you're going to do that? Like, but we'll have to see.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people boycott this World Cup because I know there were rumors about Qatar.
Yeah.
But
ironically, too, because the U.S. was saying to boycott everybody else, but it's like, look what's going on here.
But like living in Europe now, especially, I mean, like we kind of felt like a little bit in Canada, but Europe's different. Like the way Europe as a whole looks at the United States.
Oh, for sure.
Is not
I was there when he first got elected.
Yeah.
And they were like, my cousin was like, how?
It's like a clown show. And also like they're so, you know, against a lot of people aren't traveling to the US right now simply because of just they don't agree with what's happening
100%,
here.
100%.
So as much as it's a World Cup, I actually do wonder if a lot of people are just like, you know what, not going to do this one because it sounds like it's also just with like Canada and Mexico. And because that's another thing too, crossing that border. Like you're going to go to Mexico and then you're going to come to the US, then go back to Mexico for another game. Like it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And it's
the physical distances are ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Probably the biggest World Cup ever by physical distance.
Yeah, like you're gonna go to what, LA and then New York. Like good luck.
And then Mexico City.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people actually might boycott it because of all these factors.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll have to see. I mean, it's the World Cup though. I feel like they find a way. The World Cup's like you said. Football kind of changed after 2014 and there even was controversy about 2014 I think politically in Brazil at that time as well.
Yeah, well they couldn't afford it.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally couldn't afford it and they still had it.
So that's 4 in a row of quite a lot of controversy. 2010 I was too young to know if there was controversy around that in terms of the country that was
2010 was the best World Cup.
Yeah, listen, you see the star, you see the yesterday.
I feel like that one was just like everything about it. Like that's when Uruguay and Paraguay made a push. Ghana had a sick run. Like Shakira was doing the song, and maybe people were mad at her, but don't even tell me that song's like not iconic for football.
On,
like
I
don't know. There was something about that World Cup that was just it was. So for me, like that was everything. But I don't know how like from a South African perspective, so I won't speak on that. But yeah, you're right. Since then, it's not been
a
good.
lot of controversy, but people still show up.
Isn't and then
2014,
the next one is in Saudi Arabia?
Spain, Morocco. It's crazy. It's like Spain, Portugal,
Saudi's
Morocco.
After that.
Yeah, 3 games in South America for the centennial anniversary of 2030 from 1930. So that's a 3 continental, which forces Saudi to then get 4.
Yeah.
And then I think they want a Club World Cup in Qatar or Saudi as well, coming up with the 4-year schedule. I don't know.
It's nuts.
The money speaking for sure.
No, definitely.
100%. But for the last topic, last few minutes here, any advice to people in your position, or excuse me, people trying to get to your position, especially young women? I know women in sports deal with a lot. I've seen the crazy comments, and it can be very difficult. But anything you'd want to put out there to the audience?
Wow, lots of pressure here. Yeah, I mean, listen, like I feel like if you want to do it, believe that you can do it. Be confident in yourself, because I think that's the only thing that like I don't like public speaking at all. Yeah.
You're killing it. It's your career. So like,
but if I'm talking about football, that's like the difference. Like I always say this, like, do you remember when you were in high school and you had to go in front of the class and probably like read a paper about Shakespeare?
Yeah.
That stuff, like, it would keep me up at night because I was so nervous. But with football, I'm so confident in it because it's just been a part of my life for so long.
It's you.
So, I mean, like, if you're confident in it, believe that you can do it, because why in the world would a Canadian girl now be in Madrid working in football? Like, literally, I feel like if I can do it, any of you can do it. Yeah. So literally just keep going and believe that you can do it. And also don't read the comments. Like that is probably the best thing I've done, because at the beginning I was not even like going to post to read the comments, but just seeing them naturally.
Because I mean, you get the notification. It's normal.
Yeah. And like, I also didn't have TikTok before this. Like, I really tried to avoid that app because I was like, listen, I don't need more doom scrolling. Like, please. But I got it, obviously. But a lot of what I post, like, I don't use the app for anything besides posting work stuff. And then I don't go back to the post. I'll see how many views and likes it has, but I will never click the comments because I heard TikTok is even crazier. And I was like, I don't want to be involved. But like, try your best not to read the comments, because they will say exactly what you say. Like, they go back to the kitchen. Classic. Like,
no matter what you say.
I think
Messi's a great player. Like,
yeah, literally. But I think men especially get super intimidated when they see a female talking about a sport they like and probably knowing more about it than them. And it's like
wishing they could do what you're doing.
100%. And it's like something about the ego hit that they take, but they will try and take you down. You brought up Pep Guardiola. The amount of comments that I got from that, because it went viral and people were like, you know, Pep has like a wife and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you know what's crazy?
You're interviewing a coach.
Yeah, because there's like a clip of us shaking hands at the end, and Pep really gave me a strong handshake. But I actually took that as like respect, because, you know, like a strong handshake, I'm like, nice. I love that, especially because we had the conversation earlier.
Yeah.
And people clipped that and was like, why is he grabbing this girl like this? Pep has a wife, all this stuff. And I was like, what's so crazy is that was like one of the best interviews, and he was so respectful to not only me and give me his time, but my camera girl as well. And like, I was like, that sucks, because like then I'm going viral for this stupid reason.
Yeah.
But I think you have to try and just like separate like what you do and your work and all the bullshit. Because social media is dark, and like I get that like you guys are popping off on it and using it in a great way, and it's so helpful for what we do in our industry, but it also is so toxic that you have to compartmentalize, because if you don't, like, it's really difficult.
Yeah, because instead of obviously the gender stuff that we receive, it's the American and then black stuff. Just insane comments. All I'm like, bro, like
also all different ethnicities, like
different backgrounds and stuff. For instance, anytime I talk about Spanish national team, bandwagon, this and that, I'm like, do you see what Lamine looks like? Nico Williams, Samu, Alejandro Balde, like,
let's not pretend that Spain isn't super
you know what I'm saying? And that's why Lamine is so important to me, because the most famous Spanish human being on the planet, and maybe who will become the most famous athlete in the world, will be a black Spanish person.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm Spanish, they're like, oh, like Lamine. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's that extra value I see in him and that personal identity.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager or just a little kid, I wish I had a Lamine on my team. We had Marco Senna, but to have him now with Nico and all of them, like, the representation is just huge. So, and it's the same thing in the women's game as well. Like, the women's game continues to grow despite the hate that people give it. But I think it's just going to continue to thrive. And one of the things, too, I realize is they'd like to say, like, oh, this U16 team beat this professional women's team. But I'm like, first off, sheer athleticism and running fast does not mean that it's more entertaining. And sports is entertainment.
Yeah.
When I watched the Spanish women's national team today, that was perfect football. That's some of the best football you can watch in the world, regardless of gender. And they scored 6 goals after scoring 5 the game before. And it's just beautiful, entertaining to watch. And why would you rob yourself of that just because women are playing?
Yeah, I think
can men just enjoy? Can we learn to just enjoy?
I mean.
Like, can we just enjoy things, guys? Like,
I think people are unhappy and they can't they cannot just enjoy anything.
It's
like,
crazy.
It's always a comparison game.
Always.
And I think that like robs you of enjoying anything.
For sure.
So no, like, I mean, we're going in the right direction. But I mean, listen, you guys all know, like, I mean, we're all minorities in this room. And like, it's definitely a lot, but I think you have to just keep going and believe in yourself. And I also like, I want to say to all you, I know it's just you in this room here, but to you and 5-a-side, like, genuinely what you guys do is so great, because I told you off air, but like, you guys are so authentic to yourself.
Thank you.
And I love that you're just a group of young black men that are following what you like, talking about what you want to talk about, and being confident in that, because like, that's what you know. And it's great because you guys are popping off, and I love watching what you guys do.
Nah, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. So great to finally meet you in person, get you on the pod as well. Congrats to everything you're doing. Obviously going crazy over in Madrid with Sporty TV, now fully covering the Club World Cup end to end. interviewing Pep Guardiola, meeting Messi, like you're going crazy. So yeah, just congrats again to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Club World Cup. And hopefully I'll see you at the semis and the final. I'm trying to be there. A la Madrid, yo. We're trying to win. Episode 89 though, y'all. Peace.